Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wrestling Discussions. On today's episode, we got quite an entertaining one. I'm going to be talking a little bit about last night's NXT as well as tonight's AEW. Now, in regards to last night's NXT, I'm not going to cover everything. I'm only going to cover two of the major things that happened last night, starting with the men's division. So, for the NXT Championship at Vengeance Day, we obviously saw Carmelo Hayes come out after the match and kind of eye up Braun Breaker, if you will. And last night, Carmelo Hayes cutting a promo with Trick Williams by his side, as always, talking about how he wants to fight Braun Breaker. And he was talking about, well, we need to do it on a certain stage for our talents. So obviously, this is foreshadowing for an NXT Championship match between Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes at NXT Stand and Deliver. And I think it's very safe to say that Carmelo Hayes could potentially be the one to dethrone Braun Breaker, as it's been almost a year since Braun Breaker has been NXT champion, and that could very well come to an end at Stand and Deliver. Or if they wanted to wait a little bit longer, they could do that. As well, last night we saw a return from one of my favorite superstars, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, I'm pretty sure I have, but he's also one of the guys that I have speculated to be the one to take the title away from Braun Breaker. That man is none other than Ilijah Dragunov himself. I say this because I believe it was Halloween Havoc we saw, I'm sorry, was it Halloween Havoc? Was Halloween Havoc a pay-per-view this year, or was it another event? I think it was a pay-per-view, right? I think it was a pay-per-view this year. We saw JD McDonough versus Ilijah Dragunov versus Braun Breaker in a triple threat match. Ilijah Dragunov was getting so close to pinning Braun Breaker. In fact, in my opinion, he can pin Braun Breaker. He proved he can pin Braun Breaker. It was more so due to the fact that JD McDonough was the X factor, the fact that it was a triple threat match. And I think that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to show in a way that Ilijah Dragunov can be the guy to take the title off of Braun Breaker. On top of that, we also, JD McDonough put Ilijah Dragunov on the shelf for a few months, which could kind of speculate that maybe they wanted Ilijah Dragunov out of the picture for a little while. That way, Braun Breaker can kind of fight some other people for a little bit, and then kind of put Ilijah Dragunov back in the picture. And he is back. Last night, JD McDonough confronted Carmelo Hayes, and for a second, I thought JD McDonough was making a face turn with the way he was cutting his promo, the way he was talking about fighting, and the way he was talking about being the opposite of Carmelo Hayes, and, JD McDonough doesn't back down from a fight. And JD McDonough was very impressive last night in his match against Carmelo Hayes that they had later on. It was up until the music of Ilijah Dragunov hit that things started to take a shift. Ilijah Dragunov taking it to Trick Williams, and then Carmelo Hayes taking advantage of the distraction, rolled up JD McDonough for the 1-2-3. Now, the one thing I will say is Ilijah Dragunov really confused me with how he made it seem like he was after Carmelo Hayes, and then he made it seem like I'm not after Carmelo Hayes, and then he ultimately went after JD McDonough. I'm not sure what all this means. I can only assume what everyone else is assuming, which is that Ilijah Dragunov and JD McDonough are going to have a match at Stand and Deliver potentially. This is, something building up to that. I will also say, in regards to the NXT North American Championship, we saw, a little bit with Wes Lee in the sense that I think it's more to his storyline, more to his prestige. I'm curious as to see what we might see for him in the next few weeks, in the next few months. The dude, after everything he's been through with the fallout of MSK and the loss of his tag partner due to his release, I can only say that Wes Lee, has really persevered, and he's really done a good job at kind of coming back from the, pulling himself out of the rubble, if you will. Now, in regards to the women's division, we saw a couple things unfold. We saw Meiko Satomura and Roxanne Perez kind of team up in a way, I guess you could say. And we also saw the help, not the help. We also saw the fallout of Toxic Attraction. It finally happened. I've mentioned it. I've been mentioning it. We finally saw it. Finally happened. We saw the fallout of Toxic Attraction, and what was nice is we saw the comeback of a segment that I think many people really loved, Bailey's very own Ding Dong Hello segment. She had the Ding Dong Hello segment trying to, get Gigi Dolan and JC Jane back together. And at first it worked. At first they were honestly, I would have liked them to kind of go this route before they broke up. They were talking about maybe potentially fighting Damage Control for the women's tag titles, the main roster tag titles. And personally, I would have liked to see that because I would have liked to see Toxic Attraction go to the main roster for a little bit before they broke up. I would have liked to see them. Honestly, I would have liked to see Damage Control fight Toxic Attraction at WrestleMania due to the simple fact that Toxic Attraction is the only team that stands out to me in the sense that it's the only team that I can really see having that in-ring chemistry to the point where they can really full-on handle Damage Control. Because Damage Control, don't get me wrong, we saw it with Alexa Bliss and Asuka, and we've seen it with other teams. They are able to persevere, and they are able to take on Damage Control, head on, mano y mano. The thing with Damage Control is so powerful in the sense that their in-ring chemistry, it's like they send messages to each other through brainwaves. It's like they're telepaths. The Io and Dakota just have this chemistry about them that allows them to work as a cohesive unit without barely even muttering a word, without barely even sharing eye contact. It's like they are just completely in sync with one another. And that's not something you see every day. Even some of the greatest tag teams don't have that to that extent. These two just started and they are already one of the greatest women's tag teams in my opinion. And so I would have loved to see them fight Toxic Attraction because I think both of those teams would be very on par with one another. And I think they would match up well. However, it doesn't seem like we're getting that. JC Jane super kicking Gigi Dolan and then proceeding to actually put her through the door. She tried to put her through the door, and the door, if you look, the door broke off its hinges, and it looked real, in the sense that she forcibly had to push Gigi Dolan as hard as she possibly could. I think what I liked most about the segment was the tears of Gigi Dolan. The way she was crying, the way the segment went down, the way it looked so real. The emotions that kind of came towards the end of this that it made me feel and that I'm sure the audience felt. It's impressive because I feel like this close to Stand and Deliver, I feel like this is a match that 100% could be extreme. This is a match that could have 100% put someone over. Someone even commented on a post, on a YouTube post about this about this segment that it's like Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. And I don't disagree, because when you look at JC Jane, she is the Shawn Michaels, and when you look at Gigi Dolan, she kind of is the Marty Jannetty, in the sense that JC Jane is the one that I think people really want over. And I say that because she's the one people are always cheering. I mean, JC Jane super kicked Gigi Dolan, and people were still chanting JC. I don't hear Gigi Dolan chants. I hear JC Jane chants. And so I can only assume that JC Jane is someone that people want to see be pushed into a women's title picture. I can only assume that JC Jane is someone that people want to see become a babyface, perhaps, or come out on top from this rivalry and get a big name for herself going. Whereas with Gigi Dolan, I don't know if the fans are necessarily behind her in any way, other than the fact that she was a former member of Toxic Attraction. All that being said, though, this segment was so well done. The tears, I want to talk a little bit more about this. The tears of Gigi Dolan enticed me. They entertained me very much so, because it makes you question everything, because obviously she's in pain. She was forcibly pushed through a door and then kicked right in the face, her head put through that door even further, and she was like wailing. She was wailing, sobbing, and it brings the emotions to this rivalry in the sense that it's for two major different reasons, right? One of which she's in terrible pain, and the other she's in terrible mental pain, right, and emotional pain right now because her friend, someone she trusted, her best friend, even more than Mandy Rose, super kicked her in the face and then proceeded to forcibly put her through a door. Now, obviously, I don't think anyone's truly surprised by this in the sense that this has been building up for the past couple of weeks, but for it to blossom into this intensity, like for JC Jane to completely obliterate Gigi Dolan last night was surprising. I was not expecting her to be forcibly pushed through the door like that. I was not expecting her foot to come crashing into her face and then like pretty much putting her head through the door even further than it already was. I wasn't expecting any of that. But I think it was hell of an entertaining segment, and major congratulations to JC Jane, because I think this is going to severely elevate her. I also am going to comment real quick on the NXT Tag Team titles. It seems as though we are going to start seeing Pretty Deadly once more, which I'm just going to say it now. I'm tired of Pretty Deadly in the NXT tag title picture, but they keep seeming to get involved. They keep seeming to get an opportunity. And honestly, it's because they're the only relevant tag team besides Gallus. Because the Creed brothers are doing their own thing right now with Indus Sheer. And then you've got, who else really? Seriously, Idris Enofe and Malik Blade? Not really. They're not on that level yet. Chase University has, it's okay. Like Andre Chase and Duke Hudson, they're decent, but are they really enough? Brooks and Jensen, or whatever their names are, they're not. You know what I mean? I don't think they're much when it comes to this. At the end of the day, I think the best team in the sense that I think Gallus was the best pick to be NXT Tag Team Champions right now, but I also think that WWE needs to start building up more NXT tag teams for the men's division. Because the women's division, in terms of tag teams, I think will be okay. But the men's division needs to kind of build themselves up some more in terms of some tag team spots. Even if we need to see a new tag team, like even if maybe later down the line we see Ilijah Dragunov and JD McDonough, mend fences and form a team together, or Tyler Bate and Ilijah Dragunov form a team together, or something. But I think we need to start seeing some more teams form. You know what I mean? Some more like original tag teams, kind of like that of Ricochet and Braun Strowman and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, that sort of thing. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna move on from WWE here real quick. And let's see. Moving on from NXT and going on to AEW. So tonight is obviously a very big night for AEW. It is their championship fight night. We don't see it too often. We've obviously got the Garcia Guevara Gauntlet, which I don't exactly know what that means. I'm sorry for not fully being aware of that. The Garcia Guevara Gauntlet. I wish I knew a little bit more about that. Let me see if I can gain a little more knowledge. The Garcia. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what the Garcia Guevara Gauntlet is. So I'm not going to be able to comment on that. I apologize. I'll try to get more knowledge on that for tomorrow's episode. And if you feel free to comment down below about what it is, and call me an idiot if you want. I don't care. Because I should know what this is. It is kind of idiotic of me. So feel free to say whatever you want about me. We also got an AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator match. Jamie Hayter versus the Bunny. This is interesting. I like this idea because the Bunny is a very decorated wrestler. She's a very talented wrestler. And she's finally getting a chance to show it. She's shown it in multiple occasions when she's fought wrestlers like that of Ty Conti, that of, who else was it that she fought? I want to say kind of recently. I think it might have been Toni Storm. She's proven herself on multiple different occasions. And this is no different. Now, obviously, this is the Eliminator match. This is not a championship match, but it is still a match to decide, will we get a championship match? I gotta go with Jamie Hayter on this, just due to the simple fact that I think Jamie Hayter's so red hot. She's so unstoppable. I think that the bunny will pose to be an obstacle, but an obstacle in the sense that it will be an entertaining obstacle to the point where Jamie Hayter will succeed tonight, and she will surpass said obstacle. Now, we also got Roosh versus Bryan Danielson. Now, obviously, this is going to be Bryan Danielson's win. Bryan Danielson's match for sure. However, this is going to be entertaining. Roosh versus Bryan Danielson. I'm a major Roosh fan. I love Roosh. I love his wrestling style. I love his intensity that he brings to his matches. One of my favorite matches of his had to be in AEW so far, had to be his match with Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship, due to the simple fact that those two, just the intensity they brought to this and the speed that Roosh brings to it, the intense speed and strength that he brings to this is so entertaining. And to add that to that of Bryan Danielson, the technical ability, the technical kind of wrestler that Danielson is, it will only entertain the match more. I think it'll only better the match, and so I'm all for that. And I also like the idea of Andrade El Idolo, like, because Roosh is with Andrade El Idolo and MJF is looking for someone to beat Bryan Danielson, I kind of like this idea of like MJF and Andrade El Idolo kind of going on each other's radar at some point, Now, on top of that, this is Championship Fight Night, so we've got the AEW World Trios titles on the line, where we will see the Elite versus Top Flight and AR Fox. Now, Top Flight has been kind of working with AR Fox lately, and they are going to fight the Elite for the titles tonight. Now, prediction-wise, I've got to go with the Elite, but that being said, Top Flight did get a victory over the Young Bucks, and I think that's kind of what gave them this shot, what earned them this shot, and to top all of that off, Top Flight is such an entertaining team. They are so powerful, so incredible. They've been feuding with the Elite for quite some time. I would love to see them pull off a great match tonight. As same with the Elite. I think the Elite and Top Flight have such a great in-ring chemistry. And AR Fox, I've seen him do. I've seen some of his matches in AEW so far, and the dude is entertaining. I'll give him that. I don't think it's enough. I don't know if he's on par with that of Top Flight. I haven't seen like a whole lot of him, but I will definitely say he's entertaining, and I would love to see him work a little bit more with that of Top Flight. I'd love to see him work a little bit more with that of AEW, and maybe see him kind of start to get more opportunities and, a little better development later down the road. But in terms of predictions, I've got to go with the Elite. I think Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, they're just way too powerful as a trio. They're way too unstoppable, and the fact that they just won the titles less than maybe 4 weeks ago, there's no way they're losing them on their second title defense. And I'm also excited to see Kenny Omega on a Dynamite again. We saw him on Rampage, but I'm excited to see him on a Dynamite again, because I would love to see maybe a new trios team kind of make their name tonight afterwards and kind of like call out the Elite. But it just depends. It seems to me that the Elite hasn't been getting much segment time, if you will, more so just match time. I would like to see more promos from that of the Elite, more segments. So for tonight, when it comes down to if we see like a new challenger after the match, like a new set of challengers, it just depends on what time grants us. On top of that, we've got the AEW World Tag Team titles on the line, where we will see the Acclaimed take on the Guns. Now, this is a controversial one, because many people have been going back and forth with this, in the sense that you've got the Acclaimed and you've got the Guns, and then you've got Billy Gunn, who's the father of the Guns, but daddy ass to that of the Acclaimed. And so many people are saying, well, whose side is he on? Is he on the side of the Acclaimed? Is he on the side of the Guns? The Guns, Austin and Colton, pissed him off last week. They got under his skin, they pushed him to the edge, and the question is he going to work with or against the Acclaimed at this point. It seems as though he's with the Acclaimed, but we've seen this before where he seems as though he's on one side and then he turns on the other, and it's been a back and forth, and it's been a big thing of long-term storytelling. On top of that, though, I don't think the Guns have what it takes to be an entertaining set of champions yet. Yes, they had a victory over FTR, and yes, that was kind of their defining moment. But in terms of the way they do their entrance, and the way they present themselves, and the way they get on the microphone, I don't think they have that overall presentational feel of being AEW World Tag Team Champions yet. Now, if you add Billy Gunn to the mix, maybe, but still, it's one of those things where it has to be done right, and I don't know if this is it yet. Maybe do it at Revolution. Maybe try and build it all the way up to Revolution, but I don't know if tonight's the night. And I don't know if Billy Gunn... I don't know if I can see Billy Gunn turning his back on the Acclaimed yet, because he's just so over with the fans as daddy ass. It would just be so disappointing. It would be such a heartbreak. It would be an upset, to be quite honest with you. Alright, our last match of the night, what I'm assuming to be the main event due to the simple fact that it has MJF in it and he doesn't wrestle in anything less than that of the main event at this point. We have an eliminator match for the AEW World Championship. MJF taking on Konosuke Takeshita. Now, if Konosuke Takeshita wins, this means he will get an opportunity later down the line to fight MJF for the AEW World Championship, or at least that's my understanding of it. Konosuke Takeshita has been very impressive here lately. He got his first TV win against Brian Cage last week, and now he's taken on the AEW World Champion MJF. Now, prediction-wise, obviously I've got to go with MJF, but I don't know. This will certainly be entertaining, because obviously MJF's one of those guys that he's very good at getting his opponent over while also promoting himself. And so that is going to be entertaining, and I think the fact that both him and Bryan Danielson are wrestling on the same night will kind of add to this little rivalry that they're building up to for Revolution. And also, before I forget, I did forget to give a prediction for the AEW World Tag Team title match. I'm going to go with the Acclaimed. I think the Acclaimed still got a little bit more of a run left in them. I don't know. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. I'm going to go with the Guns. I'm feeling optimistic. I'm going to go with the Guns. I think Billy Gunn might betray them tonight, just because I feel like it's so predictable. And I feel like with AEW, when it gets really predictable, it's just... I don't know. I feel like Tony Khan... I just kind of get that feeling that Tony Khan's going to screw us tonight, and he's going to have Billy Gunn betray the Acclaimed and join the Gun Club. And so I'm just getting that feeling. It's giving me that intense feeling, kind of, and that tension, if you will. And so I'm going to go with the Guns. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude tonight's episode. As always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.